I got a bunch of commentary with Brandon Keel, I think that's right. I apologize if I got that wrong. Saying, bad idea, don't use slick sand for this purpose, it's not good. I saw my friend Pete made a video on this a while back as well, hating on it and basically saying, if you got a collision job or something, you have some hail damage, it's good for that, but basically don't use it for anything else. This is a real struggle. And first of all, I do want to say thank you to Brandon. Again, hopefully I got that right. For all the comments, I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you and everybody else can appreciate that in the garage here, we're going to get comments from every different direction because everybody out there has a different opinion on how this stuff works. So I can't take any one person's opinion on faith because I'm going to get conflicting opinions from other people. Brandon's a professional, has been doing this for a long time, as Pete. So that's clearly valuable information. I don't want to discount that. Having said that, all the research that I've done does not match up with those statements. I know that there's a lot of guys in the garage that have used slick sand on their projects, haven't had any problems. James Freddy's did a video on it a long time back. I don't remember what car that was, but a long time ago. And I always hear the spray-on polyester is not the same thing as body filler, and I don't understand that because as far as I can tell, chemically they're exactly the same. They're both polyester filler. They both use MEKP hardener. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, obviously there's a consistency difference. One's thicker than the other. So I could see spraying really thick coats of the spray-on poly could be bad because the cross-linking might not be as strong, etc. I can understand that if that's what you guys are talking about. I would hesitate to use that stuff based on that on the underside of the car for stone chips and stuff like that. But the roof of the car and things like that, the big flat panels that are just bare to get straight, especially on this car, you saw what that roof looked like. Seems like that would be the perfect place to use that stuff. And then there's the conflicting opinions of spray-on poly versus high-build primer. Brandon was saying the poly shrinks a lot and takes months and months to cure. And again, everything I've read says exactly the opposite, which is spray-on poly cures very fast. In a matter of days, it's done. You get a little bit of shrink back within a few days, and then that's it. It doesn't shrink anymore. Whereas the urethane primers shrink quite a bit because they're paint, and paint shrinks.
On the topic of shrink back, I have a few little experiments I've kept around here. I keep these outside, which isn't ideal, but this will give you an idea. So here's the epoxy that I sprayed the other day, and you can see it's pulling away from the edge of the bucket. It's kind of stuck to the bottom, so it's kind of hard to tell. Get it loose. It's stuck. But so that's that. Here's one that I sprayed a while ago. I don't remember when that one was. You can see how much that one shrunk back. So the epoxy shrinks back quite a bit. Here is the slick sand that I sprayed last week. So it was last Friday, I think. And it hasn't pulled away from the cup at all. Let me see if I can get it out of there. Okay, so we got all the crud cleaned out of there. And you can see as zero shrink back. Knock that little puck out of there. Nothing. And that sure appears to be cured. And the epoxy over there is not even cured yet, and I sprayed that before I sprayed this stuff. So I'll keep this stuff around, keep an eye on it, but it's looking good so far. And that's, what is today, Tuesday? So that would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 4 days, no shrink back, that's evident.
I don't know. So anyway, there's all this conflicting information out there. But here, let me tell you what I've come across from what I've read, and hopefully, again, I'm sure I'll get comments from everybody about why I'm wrong, but this is what I've read. The best approach for this stuff is do your body work, get your body work as good as you can. The spray-on poly is actually good for filling in fine scratches and things like that, and even 80 grit scratches. And I don't know that I want to use that as a general rule, but people say yes, it'll actually level out the 80 grit scratches because it doesn't shrink very much. As long as you give it a few days, spray it on, wait 2 or 3 days for it to cure up before you sand it. So you can get your panel 99% of the way there, use the spray-on poly to really level it out, flatten it, and get it just glass smooth. Then the high build polyurethane on top of that, because you don't have a lot of scratches and imperfections left. And the high build, doesn't even have to be high build necessarily, but the 2K urethane now is what is your final sanding surface, because you want that nice surface you can wet sand and everything, as you can't do that on the spray-on poly. So that's how I understand it. And if there's multiple steps involved, you can use the spray-on poly multiple times and body filler multiple times, and you want to get it basically where you want it before you go to the 2K primer. Now, the alternate approach I've seen is, my friend Pete's approach, which is filler, high build primer, high build primer, high build primer of a 2K primer, and you keep using the 2K primer until you get where you need to be. And I suppose that's valid too. Obviously, Pete does it. But I think your bodywork has to be very good when you get to that point, because if there's any imperfections, the high build 2K will shrink, I guess. Anyway, big point I wanted to emphasize here, which I already said, but I'm emphasize it again. Please leave the comments. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. And it's going to be in there in the comment chain there for other people that come along to these videos. I get comments on videos way back years ago that I did, and people are still asking questions. Why did you use this product? What happens there? And if you can read through the comments, you can get people's opinions, plus or minus, right? Why is this good? Why is this bad? And unfortunately, in body work, there is no right answer, right? And I don't care who you are, there is no right answer for a lot of things. Some things are black and white, but most stuff is not. And it's basically, this is the way I've done it, it's worked for me, and therefore that's the right way to do it. And that's possibly true, but there's 15 other people that did it a different way and it worked for them. And I think the thing that really comes down to it is, it all depends on your technique, the environment you work in, the tools you use, your experience level impacts all those things, right? So what works for you and you're very good at doing may not work for somebody else because they don't have the expertise or skills or equipment or whatever that you do. So all of this you have to take with a grain of salt. And we, us amateurs here, and yes, definitely an amateur, we just have to do our best, take what information we have and just run with it, And if it's wrong, it's wrong, But, I haven't seen a case on YouTube or even Google search of anybody showing me what went wrong with spray-on poly. Everybody says it sucks, I hate it, but I've never actually seen evidence of why it's wrong and why it's bad. So that, I got to run with that. We had this same sort of argument with Pour 15, right? Some people swear by it, some people hate it. My friend Pete again loves this stuff, but the Garage Gang is full of people that put that stuff on and it failed horribly on them. What's the difference? I don't know. Works for Pete, it doesn't work, for anybody else, right? Greg's Carmen Gia he did, right? Had to scrape all that crap off. I don't know what the difference is, but it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. So when I see products like that clearly have evidence of failure, I'm not going to use that, right? Because the risk is too high. But when I have stuff that people just tell me, well, I don't like it, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt and look at all the other evidence out there too. But because I have lots of evidence of it working properly. Anyway, so again, thank you everybody for your comments. I appreciate it. I'm not discounting your opinions. I take them all in. If I get enough people saying, hey, here's why this is bad and here's an evidence why it's bad, then I will obviously change my opinion, right? I'll sand all this crap off if I see evidence of why it's not good. But other than that, I'm just going to go with what I've seen other people doing successfully. So anyway, with that, I'm going to get back to work on the car. Sorry for the big rant.